And today I'm here with Sally Kettle, who loves inspiring young people, empowering women, leading expeditions and working with charities in the media. And we're wearing matching tops, I've just noticed.
We certainly are.
I first met you, Sally, it must be 5-6 years ago, when you were talking at a business lunch in London and we gate crashed it and we got invited to it. And I think that was the first time that I met you at that lunch, and you were talking about your ocean row, because you have rowed the ocean twice and had a first attempt. So
That's right.
half, we were just saying.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny that don't you think that lunch was a weird situation? If anybody's listening who organises these things, kind of organising a speaker to speak during lunch and over lunch is it's really tough for the speaker, because
it's a challenge, isn't it?
It is. You're shoving prawns down your face, and you've also got to kind of talk about what you've done. So that was it was a really fantastic event, but I didn't get any lunch.
The food was lovely. Well, we were late. I think we were late because we got on the wrong train.
So well, there you go.
Racing and was late. But anyway, it was a lovely time, and we met you. And then you came and talked at my son's school as well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And then you went off and did your own row. I feel like, I was the inspiration for that. Not really.
You were.
Not in any way. No, it was it's been a long time since I've seen you last, actually, but so much has changed since then, hasn't it? I mean,
well, this is why I'm kind of really quite enjoying the lockdown, because I'm kind of organising all these chats with people who I like to speak to but never get the chance to. So for me, this is a great opportunity. So
slightly different my end. Because I have a 3-year-old now, and I think when we first met, it was probably before even IVF. So and managing a 3-year-old in lockdown, I'm not in a high-rise flat with 3 kids on my own, but it's tough. It's tough, and we've all had COVID as well, and that's been really, really tough. And actually, it's you were asking me, what I'd like to talk about, and there were so many things that flipped through my head. Would people be interested in the rowing? Probably, but I talk about that all the time. But I think something that's definitely changed literally in the last 6 months for me is my attitude towards mental health, and the global attitude towards mental health that's changed hugely from when I was first struggling with my own mental health. And I've had anxiety for many years, and when I had panic attacks as a teenager, the doctor said, well, you're not having a heart attack, are you? And that was it, and pat me on the back and off you go. So you were sort of really on your own. And I think there's a huge weird benefit to the situation as it is at the moment, because suddenly mental health is not just on the front burner, it's in everybody's mind, it's on everybody's lips, it's something that we're all suddenly being aware of because we're experiencing it. And
we are. And what worries me is that once the pandemic is over, I think mental health will be huge, because
it will be.
Like you said, I cannot imagine what it must be like to be in a kind of lockdown situation in a tiny, tiny flat with maybe an abusive partner, young children. And I just think we need to prepare ourselves and the NHS for a big surge in mental health requests. But I think you're right. The shift has definitely changed.
Yeah, massively. And also, though, there's a positive to that, and that's, many people are actually taking charge of their mental health now, because it's on the agenda, because people are talking about it and seeking advice and support online and through friends. And I think that's a huge step forward, whereas maybe previously we kind of, we knew that it was something that we had to manage, but in our everyday lives, we were going to work, we were doing stuff, and suddenly we come to this full stop, really, where we've all had to kind of stop and do something differently. And I think it's been a game changer in that way, and hugely exciting is a really weird word, because it doesn't feel like we should be excited by now, but really exciting for me. I did a talk just before Christmas, and funny enough, it was about mental health. It was a well-being conference, and it was one of the most difficult speeches I've ever had to give, because that afternoon I had to get on the train and go back to my parents and put my dog to sleep.
Oh.
my little dog, and he's been with us for 18 years, and it was gut-wrenchingly difficult to get up and say what I needed to say in a way. I just didn't feel like I could bring my A game to work. As a performer, and that's what it is really. As a speaker, you're a performer. You have to get up and you have to perform, and kind of try and bottle all those emotions. And I suddenly realised that I'm not going to bottle those emotions. I can't do it. And so I told the audience that this is what I had to do, and I broke down on stage. And I would never have been able to do that 5 years ago.
What was the reaction from the audience?
Hugely supportive, massively supportive. I mean, it was lucky because it's a wellbeing conference, so it would have been maybe slightly different if it was a finance conference. But yeah, and funny enough, when you get your feedback from these things, it was brilliant, oh, so resonant, oh, wonderful, wonderful. And then there was one comment, and it was a bit too rah-rah for me. And when you pick up on that singular negative statement, and you kind of go, too rah-rah, maybe it was too full on. But I've suddenly realised, and it's something suddenly is the wrong word, because I've been realising over a very long time that the one thing that I think society is lacking is the empathy of allowing people to bring their whole selves to work.
Yeah.
And
authenticity is very powerful, and I think one of the good things that will come out of this will be people will be kinder, people will be themselves, and that's one of the things I think that we've probably both had experience of, because when you're out on the ocean, your true self does come to the fore, and you can't get
in all its glory, hideous glory. Yeah, absolutely. And also we've been seeing people in their own homes. We're suddenly seeing them in their own lives. And I think it's sometimes very easy within the workplace to forget that people have a home life, because you're so in your own headspace, in your own home life, in your own work life. And that also that there's an anticipation that when you're in the office, that's it, the front door should slam, and you are now in work mode. And that's almost impossible to maintain.
Let's hope we do kind of, hang on to that, because I agree. There's lots of things that I want to see remain after lockdown, and not to go back to how we were before. So what drives you, Sally? What do you think drives you and keeps you going?
You know what? When I did my first row, it taught me a massive lesson, and that is that I am a resilient person, and that whatever life throws at me, it may be god awful in the experience, but I know that I will come through it. And that was a huge lesson to learn in your mid-20s, because it has meant that from now on in, from that moment, whatever happened, I have the knowledge that I could do it. And I had post-traumatic stress from IVF, the experiences of IVF a few years ago now, and it was awful. I mean, just horrendously bad. I think that's the lowest I've ever been. But in my conscious mind, I knew that I would get through this. But experiencing it was like, swimming in treacle. But I knew if I just kept swimming, I would get across. And I think we both know that experience, don't we, from being in the ocean, that, you've just got to keep rowing, even if you're not enjoying it.
Yes. Something just kicks in that keeps you going. And now your beautiful daughter, and she is beautiful.
Oh, she's so funny. She's funny. Do you remember that poem, when she was good, she was really, really good, and when she was bad, she was horrid? That's my daughter. She's pretty, so she's just incredible. But with COVID, that was an interesting experience for us, because I suddenly realised I was really catastrophizing, and I think that's what lots of people have been and are doing at the moment. And that is, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? And the thoughts of my own mortality came to the fore, and that's my husband's as well, and my daughter's. And I thought, well, if I did die, what would be left for her? And it was a really positive experience. I felt that I would have left her really well equipped with a family who love her, that would care for her. And if my husband died, and sometimes having those difficult, mortality questions and conversations with your family can bring up some real home truths, good and bad.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. And I'm so glad that you're all well, because when I first contacted Sally to have a chat, that's when you were kind of you were all ill.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, so it was really nice to receive your message to say that you were all feeling better.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, it is. Yeah, my husband's still struggling at the moment, but he's on the upward climb rather than the downward slide. It's an interesting situation, because before that we were having a really great time. We really embraced lockdown and we did our best, because we had this feeling, and I think you probably can empathise with this, that there's always time for sadness. So enjoy the ups, and really embrace those moments, instead of taking on the kind of like the weight of mourning and grief. If you're not feeling it, then don't feel it. Don't apply it to yourselves because you feel that there's a sense that you need to feel that experience. You don't have to at all. You can enjoy this situation, and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah. And the other thing that I was kind of thinking about it as well, it's okay just to sit at home in your pajamas, because what frustrates me sometimes is seeing all these kind of celebrities and people on TV telling you to learn a language or do this or create this, or it's a great time to do this. And sometimes, touching back on what you were talking about in relation to mental health, it's okay just to get up in the morning and sit on the sofa.
Yeah.
That's all you want to do. You don't have to have this pressure of learning to speak Russian.
Yeah.
Lockdown.
I know. Yes, look at me. I've baked this cake. I've done this art project. And you know what? I don't think my daughter gets to go back to school. I think she's in the wrong age group. But I was kind of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to do all her homework for her. She goes back in June. What am I going to do? Start sticking things in the book. Is that, coming to the end of summer holidays crises.
I know.
We haven't done everything that we'd set out to do. And the thing is, you just got to take every day as it comes.
Exactly. It really, 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 really doesn't matter. And I think people do put too much pressure on themselves. And that's probably the thing with social media as well. It's just, it can add pressure because everybody's putting out there their best life. And I've been doing a lot of digital detoxing, and I just feel so much better by doing that, and just kind of living in my house with my family and not looking at everybody else all the time as well, I think helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you, Sally, for chatting to me. I'm so glad everybody's feeling much, much better. And I think you've raised a really important issue around mental health. So thank you for doing that and sharing that. And hopefully I'll see you in real life at some point. Hopefully.
Yeah, that would be nice. Let's to bring her up to Yorkshire.
Oh, that would be great. That would be
definitely
great. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sally, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.